Hi guys. I normally don't do anything in front of my videos, but as you can see from the thumbnail and in the title of this video, there is a trigger warning. Suicide and self-harm are mentioned in this video, so if this is triggering to you or you're uncomfortable with it in any ways, I implore you to please click off so then you are, for your well-being, because you're first priority in your lives. So please, please, please click off if you are uncomfortable or you can't handle that kind of material. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to say because I want all of you guys to be okay. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. It was late. Far too late for anyone to be awake. But despite the time, despite the empty halls, and the only light being the moon illuminating his path, Izuku quietly crept his way to his lover's location. His heart pounded in his ears, and his breath came in short puffs. He knew he shouldn't have been wandering the halls after curfew, but his anxious worries had gotten the best of him. He needed to know you were okay. It was a simple assumption at first. He thought you were tired due to your odd behavior and your slump figure, but as days and weeks passed, you hadn't changed. You locked yourself in your room, and any time Izuku even saw you, it almost seemed like you were sleeping too much. After that, he never saw you outside of school. Not even in the dorms, aside from the rare times he'd catch you grabbing a small snack. He couldn't even remember the last time he saw you eat a decent meal. You were practically a living zombie. When he finally made it to your dorm, he was surprised to see your door slightly cracked open. Worry instantly flooded his senses, and he pushed the door open, walking in and shutting it behind himself so no one would catch him. For a moment, he simply looked around your room. Your bed sheets were disheveled, and there was a clear mess of clothing and various other objects strewn around your room. Izuku carefully made his way around the room, swaddling your clothing in his arms and squinting through the darkness for any sign of you, or anything he should be concerned about. But you weren't in bed, and all Izuku could find that seemingly seemed concerning was a clump of wadded paper balls that caught his eye. He plucked one up from the waste bin beside your desk. He quietly unwrapped it, as to not disturb you if you could hear him. He could barely make out the words in the darkness of the room, but just faintly, with peaks of moonlight filtering through the curtains that led to the balcony, revealed secrets to Izuku that were written in harsh, black ink. Tears welled in his eyes as each word inscribed in the crumpling paper stabbed his heart. His grip tightened and slightly tattered the edges of the fragile sheet. He set it down on your desk and made his way towards the balcony. Faintly, through the thin fabrics, he could see your silhouette, a solemn shadow standing alone in the dead of night. He quietly allowed himself to slip past the veils that separated you two. Finally, for the first time in weeks, he was able to gaze upon your figure for no longer than just a few moments in the common room or the occasional glance in the middle of class. Your arms were rested on the railing as you stared into the dark abyss around your blank expression. For a moment, Izuku didn't say anything. He quickly noticed your sunken eyes, which were clearly bloodshot from crying. Your face was sickly pale and your lips were stretched into a thin line. Carefully, Izuku reached out and put a hand on your shoulder. That small touch was enough to pull you from the depths of your darkest thoughts, causing you to jerk violently and instinctively throw your body away from his. Eyes flickering hastily, and your arms flying up to shield yourself before realization struck you and caused your body to slump back down. "Izuku, why are you here?" You spoke in a soft mutter. The boy could barely believe what he had just witnessed. After giving him that terrified expression, that's how you decided to respond? Alarms were blaring in his head. This was serious. Really serious. "Are you doing okay?" His voice was reluctantly and uncharacteristically quiet. He watched you approach and relax against the railing. You didn't respond to his question, but rather began to stare off again, allowing your thoughts to return wherever they originally were. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, you shrugged. It wasn't the answer he was hoping for, but it was an answer nonetheless. He was thankful that you were still responding to him. Yet, despite that, he was still uncomfortable with how much you were leaning over the railing. You were even standing on the tips of your toes just slightly as you leaned over the balcony. He gently grasped the back of your shirt to make sure you didn't lean out any further. You didn't seem to notice the slight tugging, seeing as you allowed yourself to lean even further. Izuku's anxiety was practically spiking through the roof. He could tell this was quickly becoming a delicate and dangerous situation. His mouth was growing dry and he began to fidget. Still, he slowly began to talk to you. What's on your mind? That got your attention. Your lips were pursed and you blinked a few times, allowing your gaze to flutter about before you responded. Flying. Your eyes finally met his. He tilted his head slightly, silently telling you to continue. Sometimes I wonder if I can fly. Maybe I can, and I just haven't tried. You rolled your shoulders back. Izuku's grip on your shirt got tighter. Who knows? You continued. I could probably jump, and maybe I'll fly. Or the demons will catch me. If not, well, is that still a problem? Listener! Izuku gasped. He couldn't believe the words that just came out of your mouth. Finally, you shook your head and reeled back away from the edge. Your back pressed against the wall as you began to hyperventilate. Reality finally struck you. Shit. You shook your head again and grasped your hair in your fists. Your voice cracked painfully as your voice, which so far long has been a whisper, was now finally coming out. No, not again. Not again. Listener, honey, it's okay. Breathe. Izuku put his hands on your shoulders before pulling you into his chest. You broke down into loud sobs, babbling barely coherent apologies. He scooped you up into his arms, carrying you inside while glaring out at the dark expanse over the balcony as if it had personally done something to hurt you. He wondered what had made you think the way you did. Why hadn't he noticed sooner? What could he do to fix it? When he set you down on your bed, he was relieved to see your face had gained a bit more color, though you still looked sick, almost as if you hadn't eaten in days. He placed your hand on your cheek to feel your temperature. You were sickeningly cold. Listener, have you been eating? He reluctantly asked. Slowly, your head dripped down, and you mumbled a soft, no. Water? Another no. He bit the inside of his cheek. He kneeled down to your level, placing a firm hand on your shaking knee to catch your attention. When was the last night you had a good night's rest? You didn't have an answer to his question. He sighed and scooped you up again before sitting down on your bed with you in his lap. You leaned forward and buried your face in the crook of his neck. He rubbed small circles on your back in response. Your body felt almost frail against his. He wrapped himself around you as much as he could to share his body warmth, but you still continued to tremble and shiver. He knew it was less of you being cold and more of your vulnerable state, but he wasn't sure of what he could say or do. So he continued to hold you. He noticed the way your hands gripped at the long sleeves of your shirt. He knew something you didn't want him to see laid there in wait, but for the moment, he didn't speak about it. Instead, he placed one of his hands on top of both of yours, silently reassuring you that it was okay, that you could relax. Surely enough, you gradually let your hands loosen to let go of the burden. Red marks faintly peeked out, but were soon out of sight as you took to wrapping your arms around Izuku as well. You moved your head into his chest, and Izuku leaned back so you could comfortably rest against him. His heartbeat was quick and heavy. It spoke 1,000 words to you in a singular moment. His concern for you, his happiness that you were still here, his love for you, his care, his presence. One small hiccup from you was all it took to let Izuku know that you were crying again. His hand on your back slid to the nape of the neck, cradling it and holding you against him in the most vulnerable of ways. His other hand rubbed up and down your shoulder. He drew shapes and spelled sentences with his fingertips. You knew it wouldn't be a permanent fix to all of the issues that plagued your mind every day, but in the moment, it was enough to finally get you to relax, to finally get you to close your eyes and give in, to finally make you smile, even if it was just a little bit. Your head tilted up to look at Izuku, who was already staring you down with the most content smile. You shifted up just slightly and pouted your lip. Taking the hint, Izuku chuckled and leaned down to press his lips into yours in an affectionate, warm-hearted kiss. The taste of his lips brought you completely back to your senses. All you could think about was the subtle fruity taste on his lips and the comforting, earthy scent that emitted from him. He was your own personal little forest wonderland. You too pulled away only to dive in for another kiss, then another and another. With each kiss, it was more passionate, more feverish and emotional. Your hands cupped his cheeks and his with yours. It was like you were both reminding each other that you were still there, still alive and well. When you felt your hands start to get wet from Izuku's sudden tears, you pushed further into him. As much as you wanted to stay connected to him, you both soon parted, gasping for air and choking on sobs. Your body fell forward into his, and your hands moved to grip his shoulders in an attempt to reground yourself from the high of the kiss. Izuku's hands reached down and held the underside of your forearms, further stabilizing your trembling figure. "Shh, I've got you," Izuku cooed in your ear. As you gradually relaxed more and more, exhaustion began to flood over you. You returned to his chest, resting your head and again escaping back to the comfort of his heartbeat. The rhythmic thumb pounded against your temple in a soothing, repetitive manner. You were pulled just out of the grasp of sleep for a small moment as you felt Izuku's chest begin to vibrate with a low hum. It took you a moment to recognize the tone, or the fact that Izuku was humming in general. His touch registered. His fingers began to trace shapes on your upper back, as they did before. Izuku just continued to flood your senses. His touch, his scent, his voice, all of it continued to pull you away from your dark, churning sea of thoughts that had welled up your mind. Your body slumped completely into his, and for a moment, Izuku stopped humming. A soft chuckle made his body shift just the slightest, and it only comforted you that much more. You traced down his arm, dancing your fingers along his scars, and delicately rubbing them with your thumb until you got into his hand. You locked with your fingers with his and squeezed his hand. It was only when he squeezed back that you finally allowed your eyes to flutter shut, and for the exhaustion piled over a week to finally take you. You were almost certain that you would have had a dreamless sleep, and woken up as groggy as before. But instead, your dreams were filled with green. A lush green forest, green raindrops, and those same bright green eyes that you fell in love with. Hi everyone! This was honestly, it was very comforting to me, and I hope it comforts some of you guys, because dealing with depression and anxiety and self-harm is really, really hard, but hopefully this will help you a little. And that's the whole reason why this channel was made in the first place, is to help you guys, and hopefully make you guys feel better after a long day, and just to watch one of my videos and hopefully make you smile. Again, there was a trigger warning, just because I don't want this to be really triggering to people who have been through this and can't handle this kind of source material. So yeah, I will do that with every single one of my videos that have some sort of triggering thing. I'll always put it in the thumbnail, the description, the title, and before the video begins, because I don't want anyone stumbling upon my videos and accidentally getting triggered from it, for me not, putting it there in the first place. So that's just something I wanted to put out there, also upon a request of a commenter, so thank you. So yeah, please go check out Warm Chalky Milk, her Tumblr. It's down in the description box, as well as in the pinned comment of this video. Also, it will be in a community, in one of my newest community posts. So please go check her out. Next week, I will be writing a fanfiction for the first time. It's going to be Izuku X Listener, which I got the idea from the comments from Dragonslayer15. Please go check her out. She's absolutely amazing. Honestly, I love her channel, and she does great stuff. So please go check her out. She's amazing. As well as our fanfic writer, as well as the fanfiction writer on Wattpad, because she's been helping me out a little with the new fanfiction, because fanfiction writing is new to me, so she helped me get started. So thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. I've said thank you a lot. This is gonna be like a 20-minute video. I'm very sorry. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love all of you guys. Please, take care of you guys. Take care of yourselves, please. I want all of you guys to be okay and hopefully happier after watching my videos. So yeah, I think with all that said and done, don't forget I'm the Lady Otaku, and have a wonderful day, night, evening, whenever you're watching this. Goodbye. Love you guys.
Are you all my personal dreams?